Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of the PhinManiacs podcast. Jason Sarney here, and I have a fantastic panel. It is time for Tua. So this is Tua Talk. And to run it down in no order of any preference or age or alphabetical order or anything, we have Jack Zullo. We're going to get everyone in to introduce themselves in a moment, but Shawn Williams, we have Chip Turner, we have Louis Song, we have Antwan Staley. Thank you all for joining us, but let's start off from like a snake draft in fantasy. Antwan, how you doing, my man?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I mean, we hear that the Savior is going to start a football game in, I think, 13 days, so 12 days, whatever it is. So I can't wait for 2 weeks of the media hype, the scrutiny, and I can't wait for the actual game. So where are you doing your business right now? I hear you have a new role.
Yeah, I just got a new role covering Florida State sports for Tallahassee Democrats. So I just started that yesterday. So I'm still doing that. I'm still talking NFL and obviously keeping an eye on that as well. And obviously my time covering the Dolphins, definitely keeping a close eye on everything that's going on there.
Love it. You do great work. You know your Panthers, you know your Dolphins, and you're a Red Sox fan. So there's always that level of, gotta love a Red Sox fan. You gotta obviously love a Red Sox fan. So moving on, we have a guy who gave me a terrific opportunity a couple months back and handed on over the reins to PhinManiacs, someone who will always be near and dear to my heart. Louis Song, taking some time out of his schedule to talk some Tua with us. How you doing, Louis?
I'm doing well, Jason, and it's glad to be back to talk some Dolphins with you. And I'll try to keep my my Tua takes from. I'll try to not interrupt everybody with my anger and my despair. No, I'm kidding. I do have some hot takes regarding Tua, but I'll let everybody have their say.
I wasn't going to do a show unless you were part of it because you bring the takes. I love it, and I know you know what's going on. You have, all things.
I have a fresh perspective, I guess. Which is code for nobody likes what I have to say.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. We'll wait until you actually have to say it before everyone else in the world out there judges what you have to say.
Okay.
So moving down the line, we have one of the newest writers for PhinManiacs, a terrific guy who I found out is actually a co-Pennsylvanian of mine. Chip, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, Jason. Thanks for having me on here. Looking forward to learning a lot from you guys and sharing some hopefully not too controversial points of view.
Not a problem. We enjoy having you on. You have a couple of fresh articles out, and you want to just let everyone know what that article was about real quick?
Sure. The first article I have out was a review of the first 6 weeks of the Dolphin season for 2020. But it's an overview, really, of the offense, the defense, special teams, and the coaching.
Terrific. Get on over to PhinManiacs. Check him out. Excellent first debut. And speaking of debut, he's already got 2 articles under his belt. Shawn Williams. How you doing, Shawn?
Good. How's everyone doing?
Good. We are all well. So how are you in this Dolphin world? Are you a Floridian? Are you just a guy who fell in love with the Finns? What's your story?
I am a guy born and raised in Rochester, New York, not far from Buffalo, who suffered through being in Bills territory his entire life. I've come to find out most of the best Dolphins fans actually don't live in Florida.
That is a fact.
That's true. That's true.
A controversial non-Floridian take and an
No, it's
actual
not.
endorsement
It's not
from a
controversial
Floridian.
at all.
So that's amazing. We're already starting to maybe not ruffle feathers, maybe just comb them the right way here. And I got to tell you, this was an unplanned segue to not a Rochester individual, but a fellow university or a state university at New York at Buffalo grad, Jack Zullo. How are you, Jack?
I'm good, and I did actually graduate, as crazy and amazing as it sounds. I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be on this panel with all you guys. You guys obviously are really into the work, and I dig that. I'm an actor and a writer and a producer to like an indie kind of artist world here in Los Angeles. Shout out to Nick Tahoe's and the Garbage Plate. I missed that in Rochester. And thanks for having me.
Of course. And to everyone out there, Jack's going to be doing some fun stuff with us on the PhinManiacs. He's going to give some great content and takes as he's about to do with Tua and also make you smile and laugh. And I believe you have a show called Entourage that you're putting on out there in the world of media. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. I shot an indie pilot. I'm able to, as a filmmaker now, utilizing such things as there's like an iPhone and gear you could put together for up to like $500-600. You could literally make a studio quality project. So I shot like a web pilot that I'm submitting it to the festival world. I just submitted it to Tribeca. It's like a Tribeca's new media section. And it's just a weird story about a guy who rents out his room and sells the stuff in his house to his roommates and then goes and lives in the backyard in a tent, which is kind of like an LA thing.
I love it. I love it. Well, everyone will give you guys a chance to see those episodes when they come out, and we'll see Jack, of course, on PhinManiacs. So I want to go to Lewis since he's got the freshest take. He's got his ear to the ground. What is the climate, so to speak, in Florida? How crazy are people going? And I want to hear what you think specifically.
Well, I mean, everything that you're seeing on social media, everything that you heard in the stadium when Tua actually went out there and he started to play, it's fairly obvious what everybody's thinking. Everybody's excited. Everybody's thinking that the future is now. And they're very excited. And I think they're equal parts anxious. I think that's a good word, is anxious, because that was the mentality that I've been having ever since I heard that Tua was going to be starting, which, again, that's 2 weeks from now. There's a bye week coming up now that the schedule's been all screwed up. But now the next time the Dolphins play, it's going to be against Aaron Donald. I don't even care about the rest of the Rams. I care about Aaron Donald, because you can triple team that man and he'll still get through and he'll squash your quarterback. And that's the thing that I'm most worried about when it comes to Tua. And this is where the argument comes in, I feel, among Dolphins fans. Nobody is going to argue that Fitzpatrick is better. Nobody. What people are arguing is now the right timing for Tua. Everybody wants Tua to play. Everybody wants to see Tua succeed. But my mentality, this is my personal opinion now, not what anybody else thinks, because apparently the coaching staff thinks Tua's ready, which, again, I trust the staff. They seem to be doing a good job. They know what they're doing. Fine. But my issue this entire time has been that 2020 should have been about developing players, getting everybody up and running, and then in 2021, when we finally figured out who can hack it and who can't, and what pieces need to be replaced to safely make the transition into Tua, then that is what I think the Dolphins should have done. Now, I know the calls for Tua. I know that everybody's very excited to get their new toy out there, but the one thing that I don't think anybody in South Florida, and if anybody tells you otherwise, I think they're lying to you, that when he saw him roll out to his left and throw to Patrick Laird right there, and you saw that Jets defender running right at him untouched, and you just thought, is he going to get hit? And if he does get hit, is he going to get back up? Because you could feel the entire Dolphins fandom just go like this, just clenching and bracing themselves for the reality that, oh my God, he's not going to get back up. His hip, no. And all the hopes and dreams just get shattered before it even gets started. That is why I feel like we needed that red shirt year. It's not just because it's just to make absolutely sure that hip was up and running. It's to give us a chance to adjust and get used to the idea that, okay, he's healthy, he can take a hit, everything's fine. Now that we've accelerated the process, there's always going to be that lingering doubt in the back of our heads. Are we throwing away our future just to make our present a little more palatable? And that's the mentality that I have, and that's the thing that I'm most worried about, and that's kind of why I say nobody wants to hear what I have to say, because they're all hyped up and woo, Tua!
You put it very eloquently. There's a lot of excitement. I am throwing my arms in the air because I am excited. I'm not throwing my arms in the air because I think it's going to be the easiest road or it's going to be 1,000% perfect. But Antwan, are you worried about, as Lewis alluded to, is there that injury concern? What are your thoughts about his readiness because of that lingering injury?
No, I don't think so. I think if they had some kind of concern about his injury situation, then they would keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster instead of 2. So that tells me that even then I was like, yeah, he's ready. He's just in case something were to happen to Fitzpatrick. I'm not worried at all. I know there's been a lot of talk about the Dolphins offensive line today. Talk about how bad it is. but I don't think it's bad at all. I mean, is it great? No, but I don't think it's necessarily bad either. I think it's kind of like an average offensive line. I mean, you have your good and the bad with it, but I think having Tua there, and if he gets back to what he was or close to what we saw in Alabama, then I think even just having an average offensive line is going to be okay because he can make people miss. He's elusive. He's not like a statue back there in the pocket as well. So he's going to be able to move around and also evade rushers there as well. I see Lewis got his hand up, but
I have a follow up.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Lewis.
Go ahead.
Because I remember, I thought you were on my side, man. Because you had talked about how what's the rush? There's no reason to get Tua out there in a hurry. Now it feels like you're flipping gears here.
I am, but I also want to trust the coaching staff too as well. So obviously, you're not going to make this change unless they feel like he's totally ready or he's ready to go. So yeah, I was a little surprised by it, taken back by it, especially during the bye week that this came out. But at the same time, I kind of feel like Flores has been doing everything right. So if he feels like Tua is ready, then, by all means, he's ready to go. Because once you turn the page on Tua, then he understands there's no turning back there at that point. So especially as well as Fitzpatrick has been playing. So I'm all for it. Am I surprised by it? Yeah, I am, especially considering the last couple of games and the Dolphins are in the playoff race, which that's a whole nother topic too as well. I know some people want to talk about that, but I definitely think he's I'm really excited to see what he does, and it poses a great challenge, especially going up against a defense that has, I think, the best player in football in Aaron Donald.
You're both right there. Lewis, I'm terrified of Aaron Donald. Just Tua, Fitz, Malcolm Perry. I don't care who's taking a snap or anything behind center, whatever you do. Aaron Donald's one of the best.
If it was Fitzpatrick, then I wouldn't have been worried because he'll get back up somehow. I don't know what he's made of. That at 37 years old, he just kind of gets back up no matter what. But I wouldn't have been worried if it's Fitzpatrick.
I hear that, but it's a situation where things kind of progressed a little bit quicker than I think we all thought. You mentioned the offensive line, Antwan, so I want to segue it now. Let's go to Chip. From what you've seen as a fan, are you encouraged with the offensive line? It's a new offensive line from last year, but as Antwan mentioned, the pundits on ESPN and other places are saying it's an awful offensive line. I don't think it's awful. What say you?
Yeah, I don't think it's awful either. I think when there's that big of a discrepancy between what your eye sees and the metrics that people keep publishing, I've seen all the numbers that say Dolphins' offensive line is awful. When there's that big of a discrepancy, the truth, I think, is often sometimes in the middle. They have played considerably better than last year. I'm not as concerned for Tua's health as I would have been at this point last year behind last year's offensive line. And like everybody else is, I don't think any offensive line is Aaron Donald proof. But I'm not really concerned about Tua's health behind it just because of Aaron Donald, because you're not going to have your quarterback specifically injured by a superstar defensive line. It can happen with anybody. It can happen with Calais Campbell. It can happen with, Joe Schmo off the street. It doesn't matter. It's an awkward hit. Do you guys remember the names of the defensive lineman who dislocated to his hip last year? Because I don't.
I do not. Yeah.
It can be anybody. Aaron Donald, sure, he's going to terrorize that offensive line all game long, but I'm not too concerned about Tua's health just because of that reason.
I like hearing that. It's you need to have you need to have that faith in a quarterback, especially if it's a rookie quarterback coming off an injury. I am not very concerned. I agree with you guys saying that they wouldn't have put him out there if he wasn't, healthy enough. Antwan, great point. They wouldn't have reduced their roster to only 2 dressed quarterbacks if there was a health concern. So, Shawn, going to you, what are your thoughts both on Tua in terms of getting announced so early in this 2-week preparation process, and then you can give us the take on the offensive line?
Excuse me. I'm not surprised. I think Flores and Greer had a plan from the beginning for this. I think the original plan was maybe week 11 with the bye. Having it moved up, I think actually makes more sense. We're getting into the middle of the roster or middle of the schedule, which looks to be our easiest part of the schedule. The Rams don't necessarily frighten me. We all saw how they played the other night against the 49ers, and how the 49ers played the week before that against the Miami Dolphins. Aaron Donald's great, but you have to trust that Flores and Chan Gailey are going to game plan that for the next 2 weeks. I don't think they're going to just throw Tua to the wolves in that regard. And you got to be optimistic about the offensive line with Robert Hunt, Solomon Kinley, and Austin Jackson. It seems like Greer and the staff did the research and found the right guys. But the biggest thing to me, and it's a topic I touched on in my first article, is the culture. I mean, you look at the offensive line and they're just bonding together. They've known each other, at least in this capacity, for 6 months, and they're already becoming best friends. They're already supporting each other, developing that communication, that chemistry on the line. So that's not an issue for me. In terms of Tua's injury, I don't see that being an issue. Kind of touching on what Antwan said, like why would he be the sole backup if it was still an issue? And to be honest, his very first NFL pass, he's rolling out of the left side with 2 defenders bearing down on his face, and he looked as natural as can be. So
it's a good point. He really looked good. I mean, it was really a fun 2-yard completion that really didn't do anything other than say, wow, that was Tua's first completion. And Patrick Laird will forever be the answer to a trivia question. So the question for you now, Jack, is, and I know that your excitement level could be a whole different range of things. I want your individual excitement level as a Dolphin fan at the exact moment in time.
Well, I got to say, and I'm hearing a lot of great expert opinions, and I appreciate them. And maybe my perspective is a little off the side, but the first moment that I saw Tua jog out onto the field, I was sitting next to a Jets fan at his house, and he's a very close friend of mine. We have obviously a natural rivalry, and it was very satisfying to see Tua take the field in a 24-0 shellacking of Adam Gase next to a Jet fan who, has been doing a lot of face palms his whole life as a Jet fan. But I'll say this. I to the point that a lot of you guys have made, I expected that Tua would be getting a start after a bye week, meant that he would play the Jets and then they would come back and scheme against the Jets with Tua as the quarterback. So as a coaching, strategizing type maneuver, that would be very Belichickian, if you would, by Brian Flores. Also, I thought they would have to wait for the offensive line to gel. I think the offensive line, I don't care about metrics and stats and data per se. I think they're good to utilize, but I think the human element is important. I think we've got a really good offensive line that's coming together, and they wanted that to be in place before taking Tua and putting him in an NFL-paced action game situation. However, what has since taken place is Old Man River, Fitzmagic. He stepped in. He's dirty dancing out there, having the time of his life. He's taken all the stuff that he's known and utilized, all the mistakes he's made over a 16-year career, and now it's all coming together for him at 37 years old. He's literally playing well. He's running. He's rolling out. He's not throwing the ugly interception that much. He has a chance to take a young team and literally lift it to another level, and just as that's happening, they pull the rug out from under him. They're just like, no, Fitz, back to the clipboard for you, man. Thanks for trying out. Kind of feel like I was starting to get accustomed to that and like letting Tua sit for a year and come back next year. And all of a sudden now we all love Fitzpatrick and he's the backup again. So I don't know, like very, very kind of New England Patriots type move by Flores. Like just as the fan base was like, all right, maybe this Fitzpatrick is going to be doing all right this time. We're 3-3. It makes sense why they're doing it. But as an older, mature man who's putting his stuff together in his early 40s, I was starting to really throw my weight behind Fitzpatrick, and now I'm kind of sad.
Nobody, I guess you more than me, but no other 2 people than you and I wanted to see Ryan Fitzpatrick have that major league Jake Taylor, one last year under the sun, all the way until Willie Mays Hayes slid at home plate. I'm mixing up sports there. That's what you do to me, Jack. You send me on tangents. But anyway, you're right there.
He's old. I'm old. I want him to be successful because maybe there's hope for me. You know?
And you graduated school before me, so that makes me feel a lot better. But I want to swing it back now to Antwan. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick has got to win some sort of award for best teammate like ever, because I think that the most excited person for Tua is Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the person who cares possibly the least about the benching in a relative sense is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he knows this role. He knows this was coming, and I think that there had to have been a little bit of an aspect of, I'm playing with house money. 2 wheels are off. Maybe the other 2 wheels shouldn't fall off just yet, but they're ready in a pinch. That's kind of my take. I'm lukewarm, but I'm excited. I feel bad about Fitzpatrick, but I'm so grateful. Does that make sense, Antwan? What are your thoughts really with that whole conundrum that I guess I'm in and Jack is kind of in?
I think he is the perfect tutor for Tua, for the sense that he understood the situation. Obviously, he wants to start. He wants to keep starting and playing, but at the same time, there's no ego there. He knows the situation. We're willing to mentor Tua. I could tell you, just me covering sports and especially football, that there are a lot of guys, especially football players, that have egos that wouldn't necessarily say, well, you know what, they're not going to take time out of their schedule or their day to want to tutor their potential replacement. Players are rarely aware of that. And he understands that situation. And he decided, you know what, instead of me being a bit of a tool and not teaching him how to be a quarterback, because he knows Tua is going to be great. I think a lot of people think Tua is going to be a really successful quarterback. So let me help him and do what's in the best benefit of the team. And to be able to do that and be unselfish in that manner, I think that says a lot about him and the person that he is, despite everything, despite knowing that eventually it's going to come to the situation where he won't be the quarterback of the Dolphins. So yeah, I think it just shows why the players love Fitzpatrick and why they've been just really riding out for him. Even last year, like a lot of people were talking about the Dolphins should have another quarterback outside of Fitzpatrick, but the players love him. I mean, you could just tell it's just really infectious. Whether they score a touchdown on the sideline, they love playing for this guy. And just because he's not the start anymore, I still feel like he's still going to be a player that players really go and gravitate to and ask questions to, just because of the type of person that he is. So, yeah, I think it's just a perfect situation. Bringing him back, and God forbid if anything were to happen to, you have a guy that can come in and step in and be that quarterback and lead a team to victory.
I just want to add on to, I want to piggyback on Antwan, what you just said. That's very important too. Making sure that it's not like Fitzpatrick got knocked out and now you're forced to go to Tua. You have that venerable, respected backup quarterback. I think my attitude is also, it stems from the fact I'm not used to the Dolphins having a great quarterback, and maybe I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe I want the indecision of having, Fitzpatrick there and like rooting for the underdog as compared to having a rock star NFL quarterback who's doing isotoner glove commercials and selling insurance on TV to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready for it.
Can I interject one thing here really quickly?
Go ahead, Chip.
I think this team got to a point where Ryan Fitzpatrick took them as far as he could in a few specific points, specifically near the end of the Seattle game. I watched him try to make a throw that he simply could not make, and he threw a pick. And I wondered at that point in time, has Ryan Fitzpatrick taken this team as far as he can against the elite teams in the NFL? Because although they're flawed, Seattle is an elite team. And I think it's a testament as much to the rest of the team as it is to, as far as anything, as far as the timing of this move. Because I think Brian Flores saw it. I think he saw it near the end of the Jets game with a couple of throws that Ryan Fitzpatrick simply cannot make anymore. That he said, you know what, maybe it's time to make this change because Tua can make these throws. And I've seen him make these throws. And maybe that has a great deal to do with it.
Very valid point. I want to bring Lewis in on that because, Fitz has had throws that you're absolutely right, Chip, especially the Seattle game. It just looked like he had no mustard on, no zip on the ball. He really wasn't throwing the ball over 20 yards, 15 yards. Kind of changed against the Jets, but the Jets. So, Lewis, what are your thoughts on what Chip basically said, and have we seen the last of Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Well, I don't think we've seen the last of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that there are going to be moments where he ends up getting in the game again somehow. I personally think that Chip has a point. Again, my stance has never been about whether Tua could play or not. I think that if you have to compare the two quarterbacks, Tua is obviously the better guy. He's got a stronger arm. He's definitely mobile. He's got everything that we want in our future. And it's none of what I was saying was ever a knock on Tua. My stance was always about let the rest of the players develop and then throw Tua into the best possible situation, because in 2021 we're going to have 2 first-round draft picks again, and with the Texans with the Texans pick, it may very well be a top 5 pick if they keep going the route they're going. So, and then we're going to have 2 second-round picks, which, again, thank you, Houston Texans, for giving us a king's ransom for Laramie Tunsil, which, I mean, he's doing all right, but he's not like the best left tackle in football or anything. But my mentality has always been you put Tua in the best possible situation to find success. Right now, this is not the best possible situation. It's better than I thought it was going to be if they threw him in there, because I got to give credit to the coaching staff with what they've done so far. Solomon Kindley, and also I have to credit Chris Greer, because he deserves credit too for picking these guys. Solomon Kindley looks solid. Robert Hunt so far looks solid. Obviously, there are some growing pains to go through. They're going to get beat up a little bit. I saw a couple of plays where Robert Hunt got knocked to the ground. Kindley had a couple of penalties here and there, but that's going to happen. They're young. They're learning. I'm surprised they're doing this well as it is. Eric Flowers, I wasn't ready to trust him as the left guard, but I guess guard was his position, certainly better than tackle, and I'm glad the Dolphins didn't shift him over instead of putting Jesse Davis there. So thank you for making that decision and realizing Flowers is not a tackle. But my mentality has always been, is this the best possible situation for Tua? The answer is no, it's not. It could be better. You could get a Jalen Waddle. You could get a Micah Parsons on defense. You could get another couple of free agents here and there who would fill in the rest of the small little gaps that are left on this roster, at least on paper. So that was always why I kept saying I wanted to wait for Tua. It's not just because of his health. That is a part of it. But it's also because when we throw Tua in there, we want him to have the best possible situation to find success. So if what we're doing is we're putting him into level 5 before we throw him into level 1, then all right, fine. That just means that level 1 is going to be a lot easier than level 5. If that makes any sense, if I'm making any sense with my video gamey, nonsensical nerd stuff. But either way, I don't think this is the last we've seen of Fitzpatrick. I think Fitzpatrick will be back to some extent. I think he'll be happy to I think he'll be okay with being a backup at this point, because there are going to be teams that are going to be looking for quarterbacks, but I don't think anybody's going to be bringing him to be the starter anymore. So he would probably be wanting to find a place where he feels comfortable and at home. And honestly, if Fitzpatrick did decide that he wanted to move on, I would throw money at him just to be able to say, look, let's just stick around, man. We want you here. And if he decides to retire, then don't even let him out of the building. Just say, listen, I have a contract for you right here. You're the new QB coach. All you have to do is sign it. And that's the mentality that I would have when it comes to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Somebody had asked me for my Pulse of Vince Nation, is it possible to have somebody be in the Ring of Honor after only 2 seasons? And if anybody deserved that kind of honor, I think it would at this point be Ryan Fitzpatrick, because I'll put it this way. Between Ryan Tannehill and Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tannehill's the better quarterback, but I have had more fun and more smiles watching Ryan Fitzpatrick play than I had in 7 years of Tannehill. So I feel like he could be a staple of this franchise, if not as a player, then as a coach. Maybe he is as a player, but he's more like a more kind of like the guy who really just sits back there and doesn't do anything. He's kind of like the Udonis Haslem of the Miami Dolphins. He doesn't play anymore, but he's on the roster to establish a culture. That's what I would like to see happen for him, if anything.
I like that. I like your video game analogies. I love Udonis Haslem. reference because that, makes sense there.
Haslam don't play no more.
He doesn't play anymore.
He can't run. He can't run.
I don't think we're going to be seeing Coach Fitzpatrick. I mean, the man's got 7 kids. We're going to be seeing Coach Fitzpatrick in Little League, in flag football, if, he's on the socials, probably. I don't know. I would love it. I'm not going to argue it. But we will do.
After the Phillip Rivers wants to coach, and he has like 7 or 8 kids too. So
he has 9. He beats Fitzpatrick.
They won't let him coach his kids. He yells so much, Rivers. Fitzpatrick is a little calm, cool, and collected. So who knows with that? But hey, listen, if someone says that Ryan Fitzpatrick signed a lifelong contract with the Dolphins, I'm the happiest guy in the world. We will do a wrap-up Ryan Fitzpatrick appreciation segment in a couple of moments. But, just kind of talking about my take on the offensive line, they were dead last in the league last year in quarterback hits and sacks allowed and rushing and everything. And the eye test was putrid. So nothing worked. What we're looking at now is rookies and free agents who are still working together and gelling together that haven't let up that many sacks. They're a middle of the pack, average offensive line, minus all these silly metrics, which don't happen at every aspect of the game and every second of the game. So these are chunks, little portions that these pundits are picking out in specific areas that they need to have improvement on. But night and day from 2019 at this point to 2020 now. So I'm happy to see Tua. I'm nervous. I'd like to hear Shawn's first guy perspective on Ryan Fitzpatrick as kind of a appreciation, but I don't want to say goodbye to him. But the job is now Tua's to lose. What are your thoughts on Fitzpatrick as a Dolphin fan?
I mean, he's been amazing. I spent a lot of years suffering with him on the Bills. So it's nice to see him doing some of the magic stuff for us. I think he's been, along with Flores, the biggest reason why since day one of this new regime, we've exceeded expectations, why we're in the middle of the pack of the NFL right now, why we don't need to wait till 2021 and waste a year on Tua's rookie deal, which in today's NFL, it's important to, if you're going to get to the Super Bowl, you got to do it on their rookie deal. He's been second to none in terms of the impact he's had on the team. Couldn't be more thrilled. I don't know that we've seen the end of him on the team, but I look forward to the future with Tua.
Well said. Chip, what are your thoughts on Ryan Fitzpatrick overall wrapping up the torch pass to Tua?
I guess the best phrase for it would be the classic fearless leader, because he is both. He was absolutely fearless in what he threw up. As far as passes to the wide receivers, he gave plenty of chances for 50-50 balls to Devontae Parker. And Preston Williams did a wonderful job for him, and I love, it cannot be overstated how much value I think he has given the team as far as a cheerleader, not only for Tua, but also for the entire team. Nothing but smiles, nothing but good things to say, nothing but a great teammate. And he encapsulates what a good teammate is.
Jack, I'm going to come back to you because we know your thoughts on Ryan. I want to hit up Antwan because, Antwan, you've been, sport. Thank you so much for coming on. I really love your work. I love talking with you on Twitter. And, of course, just, your final thoughts on Fitzpatrick, on the situation. And, of course, before you, get on with your night, let everybody know again where we could find you.
Well, I would say about Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's no accident why Bills fans still love him, no matter what. Jets fans really have an appreciation for him still, and now you add the Dolphin fans on top of that because he's a lovable guy. I mean, yes. I mean, you look at what the Dolphins were supposed to be last year, and people were talking about this team is not going to win any games. They're tanking, things like that. He comes out and just puts on his traditional Fitz magic type of deal at the end of the season, and then you go up in the last game of the season and beat the Patriots in Foxborough, something that the team had not done in over a decade. And to do that, so fans they're always going to have this appreciation because even though he was the bridge to Tua, they're going to remember what he did and also probably how he tutored Tua. And if Tua goes on to be this Hall of Fame type quarterback, a lot of people will give credit to Ryan Fitzpatrick because of that, because of what he did, because of what he taught Tua on and off the field, how to be a professional, how to be a quarterback, how to lead a team, how to be a leader of men. And that's the main thing when you have a young quarterback in the league. Yeah, you can probably play. A lot of the young quarterbacks can play, but can you have men follow you and be this quarterback that inspires people? And I think that's what Fitzpatrick does. Whether he plays well or not at times, I mean, we all know he's been inconsistent from time to time, but at the same time, people still love him. And it's no accident that they do for when he goes from team to team. Even in Tampa, during that short span, it seemed like they loved him more than they loved Jameis Winston. I mean, that's kind of what it was.
Right.
He was playing so well. So that's my biggest takeaway is no matter if he plays another down for the Dolphins or not, the players are always going to remember and love his time there with the Dolphins there. So that's my biggest takeaway there. And I just want to thank y'all for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was good seeing Lewis again, too. I hadn't seen him in a while. So, but yeah, y'all can keep up with me at Antwan Staley. And yeah, I was really honored to be asked to be on. So yeah, thank you.
Of course, Antwan. Well, best of luck to you in your new role. You're going to cover those Seminoles for the Democrat and keep your Twitter takes firing. And always appreciate you, my man. Have a great rest of your night and be well to you.
I'll take care.
I'll see you, boss.
You got it, buddy. Okay, that was Antwan Staley. Appreciate his coming on and taking some time out of his busy schedule. So, Jack, I want to get on over to you. I want, if you could paint me a little word poem about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick, in the darkest of nights, that was last season, when the Dolphins were being torn down yet again and rebuilt yet again, and the uncertainty with a new coach who'd never coached in the NFL yet again, he came through and made it bearable and exciting. Watching a 36 and now 37-year-old diving for first downs, taking off and running, absorbing hits, and really leading the Dolphins to 5 wins that they had no business actually getting. I will forever be thankful for him bridging this organization and helping my fandom that I throw too much love behind. And I want to be his buddy. I want to be his friend. I don't know if you can make that happen. Do you guys have any pull? You think
Lewis?
It was just me and him hang out? I don't know.
I wish that I could say yes, man, but who knows? Anything is possible in the future. If he gets to stick around, maybe I can reach out to the family and be like, hey, want to get some lunch? I'll meet you to the Cuban experience. This will get some Cuban food.
Nice.
Jack, if you keep the growth going, you got to go more on the beard. Maybe if you could match Fitz, maybe that could be your in.
That could be my Halloween costume next year. I'm actually going to be at the game in Miami on the 20th. So.
Oh my God.
So, yeah.
That's perfect. So maybe you got to really just get your good fit sign, and we will do everything that we can to see if he could notice you. And if we can get a picture, a selfie. Yeah. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but have a ball down there, Jack.
All right, man. I will.
Well, thank you so much, and we're going to see a little bit more of you. And once again, let everybody else know where they could find you before you get on with your evening at in the West Coast.
Sure. On Twitter, I'm at Jack Zullo. My website, if you want to see anything, is www.jackzullo.com. And my professional page on Facebook is at Jack Zullo Acts Funny. Obviously, I followed all you guys on socials. I'd like a follow back. But hey, man, I'm being Zen. I'm being Fitzpatrick about it. I'm being Buddhist about it.
Well, thank you very much, my friend. Always a pleasure chatting. We'll make sure that everyone gives you a follow. So be well, my man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
And now we are going to go on to the 2 newest writers. And guys, I want to officially welcome you again on board to PhinManiacs and really appreciate your hard work already. I mean, my God, you wanted to write, and all of a sudden you're putting together some fantastic work. And Shawn, if you want to let everyone get out of here with, what brought you to wanting to cover this team and really kind of your overall take on what we got going on here with the quarterback situation in the Dolphins right now.
I mean, I've been diehard for as long as I can remember. No event on Sunday is bigger than a Dolphins game. I love to write in my free time, so it just seemed like a natural fit. And in regards to our quarterback discussion, it's been a long time, a very long time since we've had a positive one, and to go back and forth on who's the best of two very good situations is a delightful change of scenery for us fans after many years of suffering. I'm excited for 2 weeks. It's going to be a long 2 weeks, some of the longest 2 weeks besides the end of last season in the draft. But I think it's going to culminate in something special. And he may be a rookie, but so was Dan Marino when he went 7-2 and made the Pro Bowl. So is Russell Wilson when he went 11-5 and made the Pro Bowl. So is Ben Roethlisberger when he went undefeated and went to the AFC Championship. And that's who we drafted Tua to be. If he's not that, then he's not the guy we have all talked him up to be. I mean, that's who he's supposed to be for us. And if he's not, then thankfully we have the Texans pick.
Well said, Shawn. Brought up some great names, great records from some of those quarterbacks. You're absolutely right. That's why he was drafted, to be that guy who in 15, 20 years, everybody's saying, well, they brought Tua in when they were 3-3. And look what happened. So, Shawn, I can't wait to see what else he got at PhinManiacs. Appreciate it. And, yeah, go get a garbage plate tomorrow up in Tahoe's. I try one of those.
Will do.
All right, buddy.
All right,
Thank you so much, Shawn.
Bye.
And Chip, my fellow Northeastern Pennsylvanian by way of Miami, and I'm from New York. What are your final thoughts here, and what are your overall, wants and wishes to cover here at PhinManiacs?
Well, I think, as was stated, we're in a very good position right now as Dolphins fans. I do not think that we would be seeing Tua right now if the Finns were not one game out of first place. I think that it's recognized, and I understand, I totally get the line of thinking that you want to put him in the best position possible to succeed. It makes all the sense in the world, but at the same time, the AFC East is ripe right now for someone to come in and take control of it. And if by chance everything falls the right way, we could be looking back on this in December and January saying, wow, I'm really glad we took a chance on Tua. He's going to get hit no matter what. Eventually, we're going to find out if that hip holds up. Someone's going to hit him, and everyone's going to clench up, and we're going to look at it and say, please get up. Please. Okay, is he okay? Okay, he's good. That time is going to come no matter what. So I'm incredibly pleased with the progress the team has made, and I'm really surprised that time is now. I'm surprised that Tua time got here this early.
It's a pleasant surprise. And, Chip, I want to thank you again for the contributions. You'll be seeing plenty more PhinManiacs out there, and you're going to be doing a lot more podcasting with us as well. So thanks again, and we will keep you posted on when your next article's coming out.
Fantastic. Take care, guys.
You got it. Thank you, Chip. And so, Lewis, let's wrap it up with your thoughts here. There's excitement, a little bit of nerves, but overall, what's the final take?
I've never been a gambling man. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe this is all just a personal thing for me. A lot of people I know, they're willing to throw their money out there and gamble on it, and if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. I've never been a gambling man, and I guess I'm taking that same philosophy into the Tua thing. Because if it works out, then nobody's gonna be cheering harder than me. I've always just been the guy who tries to play it safe. Maybe that's a flaw in my own thinking, but it's just how I've always been. What I will say is that Tua does represent a potential decade and a half of greatness that we've been missing for a very long time.
More than a decade and a half.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally been 20 years since the Marino days, and we've had our moments of hope. We've had our moments of thinking we've got something there. Pennington 1 year, Tannehill technically 1 year, and But the other years than that, it's always just been falling short for one reason or another. Coaching staff has been awful. There's been lack of development, lack of good draft choices. And this is the first time in a very long time that it feels like all the pieces are coming into place. So I'm I'll be very happy if Tua comes in and throws for 300, 400 yards against the Rams and shows that he is that guy that we all drafted him to be. All I'll say is this, though. Be patient with this kid. If he doesn't ball out immediately, if he has his moments of struggle, don't immediately point to Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and say, you know what, we drafted the wrong guy. Please don't do that. For the love of all the sanity of all Dolphins fans out there, let the same patience that we were going to have letting Tua sit for a while, let that same patience be followed through in when he plays now, because it took Tannehill 7 years and a change of scenery to finally become the franchise. Do not get upset if in 3 games Tua is not the best quarterback in football. Please don't.
I agree. Patience is a virtue, and especially for a team that's in, game 22 or 23 coming up of a rebuild. They're 500, a game out of first place, in playoff potential, with a quarterback coming in who essentially needs to go 6-4. To really put together a playoff season. So I have a lot of excitement. I'm not expecting 22 out of 30 for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks every game. I don't care if he goes 9 of 17, 190, 1 touchdown, no picks. We run.
Oh, you mean like Kyler Murray last night?
Well, the thing with the Dolphins and the fans of the Dolphins, we always love to compare. We love to compare to who we don't have, who we don't draft, who we traded, who we didn't sign.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop.
Grass is always greener.
You know what? But we're aqua. We're not green. We're aqua, and that's we're not.
No,
teal.
Joe Philbin says we're blue.
Well, that says all you need to know about Joe Philbin. But with that said, all joking aside, I wouldn't be doing any of this really if it wasn't for you. I really appreciate your faith in me, and I appreciate you taking the time out to come on and talk Tua, talk Fins, and what's going on with you these days? What are you up to? Where can people find your work?
Well, you can still find me on my Twitter at Louis D. Sung. That's LUIS, the letter D, SUNG. That's my official Twitter. And you can also look up at Pulse Fins Nation for my own personal show that I'm doing for the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And, of course, I am still keeping an eye on everything that's going on here at PhinManiacs. Jason, you've done a fantastic job. I love where you're going with this. I really appreciate the vision that you have for PhinManiacs and turning it into what you plan for it. And I'm hoping with all my heart and soul that it becomes exactly what you envision it to be, because I think that it's something that so many people need in this day and age. So I have faith in you. If you ever need help, feel free to reach out and I'll do everything I can to make it possible for you. This is your baby and I'm just here to give you the support at this point. And so I think you're going to do a fantastic job.
It's fully appreciated, my friend. And thank you for everyone listening. Thank you for everyone joining the crew of PhinManiacs. Jason Sarney here. You'll be seeing a lot more of all of us. Take care, everybody. It is officially Tua time. Fins up and good night.